In Turkey, tens of thousands of protesters have gathered again in the cities of Istanbul and Ankara, calling for the resignation of the Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan. There's been less violence than yesterday, but police in Ankara again used tear gas to break up the crowds. And our international editor, Lindsay Histam, is in Istanbul tonight. Lindsay.
Sarah, the crowds are gathering here tonight. There are several thousand behind me over there in the square. That's very peaceful. But over to my left, a couple of miles away in a place called Beşiktaş, I'm told that there is tear gas being used and there is some violence. Minister Tayyip Erdogan, he tried to play it both ways today. He said he would talk to the protesters, but then he insulted them. This is mainly a secular, middle-class crowd. He said that anybody who drank alcohol was an alcoholic. And he said that Twitter, which is of course the main method they use to communicate, was a menace to society. But none of that is deterring the protesters, as I found out this afternoon.
They're chanting, "Tayyip, resign," calling on Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan to step down. How did it come to this? The initial protest was just against chopping down the trees in Gezi Park and building a shopping mall in their place.
The reason is that the current government has started to be very authoritarian, and people are here to support their freedom and their basic rights. They just want to not be oppressed, and they want to live in solidarity and in peace.
You're not oppressed. You have a democracy. The majority gets in. How are you oppressed?
The democracy has to be fed and nurtured.
The police were nowhere to be seen, unlike yesterday and Friday.
We were protesting on Friday and the police shoot me like 50 meters away. That's all. And
With tear gas?
Yes, with gas bomb here.
No sign of those who yesterday were overturning cars and battling the police. Today, the wreckage was just a photo op. Some of the people I've been speaking to say they're going to camp out here. They're going to stay until their demands are met. But it's not clear how many will have the stomach for that, nor whether the government will tolerate it. They've withdrawn the police for now. It's completely peaceful, but that might not last. Prime Minister Erdogan has to choose whether to try to mollify this largely middle-class, secular, well-educated crowd, or take them on.
If today there will be a voting today, I'm sure he won't be elected today.
But he has many supporters still. He says he can get 1 million on the street.
Where are they?
Well, today they were busy listening to the Prime Minister haranguing the demonstrators on television.
They have been removing paving stones and breaking the windows of local stores. Is this democracy? They say Tayyip Erdogan is a dictator. I have nothing to say if they call the person who has committed himself to serving his nation a dictator.
In Ankara, the police didn't show the same restraint. They fired tear gas at the crowd, some of whom responded with rocks and other missiles. The violence was comparatively minor, but it shows the protests haven't run out of steam. Here in Istanbul, the protesters were enjoying the absence of authority. But a walk in the park doesn't mean a political victory. That will be much harder to achieve.
As I've been standing here, there have been dozens of people going past, and all of them greet us and they say, "Where are you from?" And when I say we're British television, then they cheer and they clap and they thank us. And the reason for that is because the people feel that Turkish television has not been covering this. On the first couple of days of the protest, it really wasn't on the television at all. And they say that that's because of censorship. Now, what's going to happen next? It's very hard to tell. If the police stay out of it in the square, it may just dwindle away. But if the police come back and if there's more violence, then I don't think that this protest will just vanish. And that will be a much bigger problem for the government of Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan. Back to you, Sarah.
Thanks for that, Lindsay.